Good morning, you beautiful people. Today, this is going to be an introduction on how to pressure can your food. I'm actually going to show you how to pressure can ground beef. This one I'm actually making Italian seasoning ground beef and taco seasoning ground beef. When you pressure can ground beef, you actually need to cook it prior to canning it. Now, if it's just meat that is not ground, you can actually do a cold pack, and I can explain that in a different video. But this one is about canning ground beef for Italian and taco seasoning. My husband and I both work 9-hour days, so when we get home, we're tired. We're ready to just make some food that's very easy and very simple. And I hope that this actually helps you with that as well. Thank you for liking and subscribing to this channel, and I hope you like what I have to provide. Thank you so much. You have a blessed day. So we are starting with 80-20 raw ground beef. I'm adding the taco seasoning now. It's to taste. The reason why we like 80-20 is because it has more flavor. Now, as you can see, I'm cooking all the way through. The Italian seasoning is the same concept, but I added Italian sausage and I'm using Italian seasoning instead of taco seasoning. Once the meat has been cooked, you want to drain the grease and then grab your canning funnel and put it in a clean jar with an inch of headspace. Usually that is right below the bottom lip. Once you've packed your meat, use broth or water as your liquid. Make sure to give yourself 1 inch of headspace, as the meat will still have grease in it. Next, you want to remove any possible air bubbles. I use a butter knife to push all the items in. This will ensure no air bubbles. Use white distilled vinegar to clean the rim while at the same time feeling for any nicks or bumps. Place your clean, unused lid and screw top on the jar, finger tight. I have placed all my jars and my pressure canner and labeled which ones are which. Typically, I don't label until afterwards, but because they're two different varieties, I did this now. I have a Presto pressure canner. This is where the steam will start to come out before I pressure can, and it needs to steam for 10 minutes. My Presto came with a 10-pound weight. That's what you see. And then it will come up to pressure when I finally put that on there to hit 10 pounds. After I put the weight on, this will come up to show that pressure is starting to build. As you can see, I have a steady flow of steam. I now must let it steam steadily for 10 minutes. My time has come off, and now I must add my 10-pound weight where it's steaming and let the gauge come up to 10 pounds of pressure. Once that comes up to 10 pounds of pressure, that's when I will start my timer. As you can see, I'm above my pounds of pressure. I started my timer for 75 minutes once it reached 11 pounds of pressure. If your gauge ever goes below the pounds of pressure, which is required for your altitude, you need to bring it back to the proper pounds of pressure and restart your timer for 75 minutes for pints or 90 minutes for quarts. As you can see, my time is almost up. So you turn off your stove, you leave your weight on. What you want to do, as you see, I'm turning off my gas stove. You want to leave the weight on until the pressure goes all the way down to 0. Once that happens, then we'll slowly let the cool air in, but this will prevent siphoning. As you can see, my pressure has come down to 0, so I'm removing my weight, and then I'm going to keep it cooling for about another 10 to 20 minutes to prevent siphoning. Once you remove it from the pressure canner, place it on the counter underneath a towel. As you can see, it is still cooking with boiling water. Once cooled, usually the next day, remove the screw top lids. This prevents a false seal. Store in a dry place and do not stack on top of each other or place other items on top of your jars. If by chance your lid opened and air got in, but you had the screw top lid or another jar stacked on top of one another, it could create another vacuum seal, but now there is air. This would create botulism. To check for a proper seal, use your fingertips and lift up. If the lid does not come off, it is sealed. You can see the grease has actually risen up. Once it's cool, it's the white stuff on top. Use in any recipe that requires ground beef. Pop the top with the church key, drain the liquid, heat, and enjoy.